Okay guys, so we're going to do a walk cycle now. So first things first, I'm going to set up my scene so that I've got my shot cam, which is here. And yeah, I think that'll be an acceptable angle for the camera for the walk cycle. So let's get into it. First thing, I'm just going to got this camera here. So I'm just going to not show cameras. There we go. There are 4 main poses for any walk cycle. Obviously, you know, this rule can be broken depending on the kind of animation you're doing. But for the most part, there's four main poses. 2 key poses and 2 breakdown poses. Now those 2 key poses will be a contact pose and a passing pose. And I'll talk you through this as we do it, so we'll get started. So the first keyframe we're going to do is a contact pose. So select it all, hit S to set our keyframe. Let's get started. What I will do is I'm just going to double select this, and I'm going to put it on object. Actually, I'm going to put it on local, and then I'm also going to select this, and it's on local by default. That's good. So we're all good. What that means is it's just going to rotate it on the, move it on the axes that we have here in the channel box, because before it was moving it in relation to the 3D world, 3D space. Okay, so let's get going. So I'm going to take this foot back. Let's put some heel roll in there, some ball roll rather. So we're going to start off. We're going to do a pretty normal walk cycle, one that an average person would do, and then after that we'll spice it up a bit, give him some attitude, and go through a couple of different variations. So most people don't have a really exaggerated gait. So a gait is this way, and a stride is this way. So both the stride and the gait on a normal walk will not be huge, okay? So let's do 1. No, yeah, we'll go 2. And we'll take this guy to -2. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So just shoulder width apart for the gait. And that looks like a pretty alright distance for his stride there. Remember, he's walking, he's not running, just casual, so that's fine. Because he's just walking at an average pace, we're not going to lean him forwards. If he was really in a hurry, we'd put a bit of lean on his body, but he's not, so we'll just leave it like that to start off with. Just drop these arms down. And you can see, you probably noticed by now that I'm not copying and pasting the values with the arms, because you don't want what they call twinning. So twinning is when both arms and legs are doing exactly the same thing, and it makes 3D animation look fake, basically. And there are numerous situations in real life when twinning does occur, but you want to avoid them as much as possible in 3D for the simple fact that it'll make your 3D look not realistic, even though sometimes it is realistic to have twinning. So with a walk cycle, if you have your left leg forward, which this guy does, you will have a counter twist with your upper body. So let's give him maybe minus 0.5 twist in the hips. That doesn't really look like it did a whole lot, but if I take it away, yeah, no, it didn't. So let's go 1. Maybe we'll go 2 and just see what happens. We don't want to, like I said, it's a casual walk, so we don't want to do too much twisting here. And I think, but let's go to the front view. That's probably a bit much. So let's go -1. Yep, that'll do. And then we want to twist this guy in the opposite direction. So this guy will probably go to 2. Let's have a look at that. Maybe, let's see what happens if we take him all the way to 5. There we go, let's just do that. Okay, so that's already bringing this arm forwards, which is great, but we do want to chuck it forwards a bit more. And again, not huge because we're doing a nice casual walk. I'm going to pose these fingers on the first frame here. If I do it now, I won't have to do it later. You know what, let's select all of these guys, curve them down. Let's curve these guys even further. Get a somewhat natural looking hand position. So as far as silhouette goes with this guy, it's important still, but it's not as important as if we were doing a more exaggerated or more, what's the word I'm looking for? A less generic walk, because we want this walk to look natural, okay? And you'll see when we go after this, we'll put some attitude into it and spice it up a bit. But for now, we just want it to look like he's a normal person walking down the street. And it's important to be able to do a normal walk cycle, you know, as well. Now his head's pointed off to the side here. That's going to be a little frustrating for us to fix. Because every time we rotate this, the shoulders here, his head is rotating as well. So we might even be able to fix that with this. Let's see if that... No, that didn't do it. Let's put that back to 1 where it was. Let's check if it's in the head. It might be in the head. Head orient. Yep, this could be what we want. There we go. Oh, look at that. That's perfect. So now we won't have to worry about when we move the shoulders here, the head's going to stay facing forwards. Perfect. Alright, so what I want to do now is this foot's coming down to the ground. So he's in the center here, his weight is in the center of these feet. In the minute when he goes to the next keyframe, which will be passing, his weight's going to shift over this direction. Let's grab the right control, so that he's on top of this foot here. And then when he steps on the other foot, his weight's going to transfer back. Okay, and we went over weight a little bit in the posing lesson. So you just have to remember, when people walk, they don't walk like this straight. They go side to side. Okay, it's only a subtle movement, but it still needs to be done. Okay, so let's zero that guy out. Alright, so this is our contact pose. So we want two of these. We're going to have a contact, a passing, and a contact. Okay? So we'll go straight to the passing pose now. So let's select it all, hit key. I've seen people do this differently. I've seen people do both contact poses and then go back and put in the passing pose, and that's the way I would do it, certainly if he was moving through space. But because we're going to have him walking on the spot so that we can do a cycle, I'm just going to do some straight ahead animation, or somewhat straight ahead animation. Alright, so we're going to take this guy, we'll go maybe minus 0.7. We don't want him completely up yet, so let's zero out this guy, zero out our rotation on this guy. Now this foot has just made contact with the ground, so this foot is going to be coming up. Yeah, no, we just have to do a rotate, I think. And it's going to be passing like this. So this is why it's called the passing phase, the passing pose, because it passes the other leg. Now, in cartoon walks, you'd probably get this leg up a little bit more, but again, we want to keep this nice and somewhat realistic, so let's keep it like that. Now you can see his leg here is still a bit bent. And the reason for that is I want to avoid these legs locking out. Okay, now it will lock out later a little bit when we do one of our breakdown poses, but for now you can see if we zero the Y out here, that leg's going to lock, and I don't want that. I want to have a little bit more life in this. So something weird's happening with this foot here. I've done foot tilt. There we go, let's zero those out. Right, so we want to get the rotation off of this guy now. Let's put him onto 0. And we want to move him over so that his weight, which means his head, is over or close to over this foot. Let's have a look what 5 does for us. 5's probably a bit exaggerated, so we'll go 4. Now let's take this guy, zero the rotation out on him. Let's take the rotation here, rotate Y. Bring it back down a bit. Gonna have to lift it up a little bit on the side here so that we don't smash his hand into his leg. Let's bring this guy forwards a bit. So the hand, you can see here the hand's moving, this hand was moving forwards this way. So now it's moving back the other direction. So what I'm going to do to put that drag on it is we're going to drag it like that. And again, this is probably a bit too exaggerated as far as the drag goes for the kind of look that we're going for, but we'll do it anyway. And then on this side here, we obviously want to drag him in the other direction. And might need to bring him out. Oops. Okay, so this is the passing pose. So we'll have two of these as well. So we've got contact on our left side, passing on our left side, then we'll have contact on our right side, and then passing on our right side. Okay, and that will make the basis of our walk. Now with that, you can probably get away with just doing those four poses sometimes, but alright, so let's grab everything, just double check that we keyed it all. Let's go to the next frame, and we're going to do another contact frame now. So let's set a key. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this. One is you can copy and paste the exact values, or the other way is you can just eyeball it and try and get it worked out. And that's completely up to you. As far as the hips go with the up and down, I will do some copy and paste. And you know what? I can just do it like this. If I select it, middle mouse drag it over, set the key. That'll get that done. And let's do the same thing with our shoulder control. Now what we do need to do is we need to put opposite numbers in here, because we want the opposite to be happening. Rotating the other direction. Now when I say opposite numbers, I only mean for the rotating, obviously not for translate Y. We don't want him jumping up in the air. So this guy here, let's take his Y down. Now this is what I mean by you can just eyeball it. If I click on this one here, because there's no keyframes in front of it, it's going to shoot me back to the first keyframe. And I will take the same rotation, but I'm just going to eyeball the position. Whoops, wrong one. We want this one, hey. So let's put that rotation in. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It'll look a lot more realistic if it's not perfect. Take it back just a tiny bit more. There we go, that looks pretty good. So then the arms, and again I'm not going to... What have we done here for the head? Okay, so I think... Oh no, the head's facing forward, sorry, just my way I was looking. Okay, so let's do the arms. So now this arm here will be going backwards. This one be coming forwards, so that we have that counter rotation, and that may be a bit more exaggerated than the first frame. Let's have a look. Nope, that looks alright. In fact, let's go to the right frame. Maybe even a bit more. Okay. Alright, I'm happy with that. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. So, we're going to do this frame here now, the next walking pose. Next passing pose. So I'm going to middle mouse drag that over to number 4, hit S to set that key. So now we have exactly the same passing position. Passing, passing. Alright, and let's just, that'll do some of the work for us. Let's put a minus in this translate X. Oops. Zero this guy out. Where are we? These are the ones we want. And this one. That's foot is where it's got to go. And that minus might be... So I think we've exaggerated this sideways movement a little too much. So let's take 4, let's take it down to 3 and see what it looks like. That's better. Let's go over here, take this guy down to 3 as well. And again, that's probably a little bit too exaggerated, but it'll do for now. You know what, let's do it. Let's take it down to 2. When you get it, you get it. You just gotta get the urge, you just gotta do it. That's better, much better. Okay, so let's grab the rotation off of this guy. It's 50, so we'll just type 50 in over here. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not even going to worry about matching it up that much. So let's see. So this hand was moving backwards, now it's going to be moving forwards. So let's see where the rotation is on this one. It's in the same rotation position. So let's just take the hand, put some drag in the opposite direction on here. Yeah, that'll be fine. And same with this hand here. Make sure they're not intersecting. Okay, let's maybe drag this guy up the way a bit more. There we go. Okay, so now we have the start of our walk. So we're going to do a 24 frame walk cycle. So 1 second walk cycle. So let's take this guy and let's drag him. Actually, let's take all of these guys, let's drag them out. To here. Like this, and let's watch that back. Okay. So I do think we need to move these one more time. Let's see. No, I don't. Alright, okay. So all the frames that we're going to key are going to be on 2s. So I've left enough space in between these guys for the other frames. So let's go in here and let's make our next pose. Make sure we select everything, key it. So what we're going to do now, so we have the contact pose and then the passing pose. So the next pose after the contact pose will be the down pose. So most people think that this contact pose is the lowest point in the walk, but it's not. There's a pose that comes next after this breakdown that is the lowest, and then after this passing pose there is a pose that comes in between it and the next one that is the highest one, which is the up pose. So we're going to come back here, and what we're going to do is we'll make the down pose. So we're going to take this guy and he's going to be flattening out. Going to drop this guy down a bit. We want to start to move this guy over now, so I think we were at 2, so we might put him at 1. Going to move this arm up a bit. We could probably put a bit more rotation. No, I don't think we really need any more rotation in the shoulders. Move that arm like that. A little bit more drag on you. So the trick here is we want the feet to be moving, so this guy's got to come back a little bit. Maybe even a little bit more, and then this guy's got to go back as well. And we will roll this guy up onto those toes just a little bit more. Actually, you know what? Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll put some rotate Z in there. So rotate X in there rather. Now what that's going to do is it's going to drop it down below the floor here. So I'm just going to have to take my translate Y, bring it up. Okay. So we're going to go to the next pose. So we're here, we might as well do the next down pose before we move on. So let's get in here, select everything, set the key. Let's actually, you know what we'll do? Yeah, no, we'll do that. So let's copy the Y position. Copy the Z position of this foot, and we will transfer that to this one. And we will take this guy, we'll put him at -1. You can see that, yeah, sometimes I will copy the actual values. Oops, let's undo that. We want the other foot. It's important sometimes. Sometimes it's not important, but it's really up to you. Oops, wrong one. Okay, now we're getting somewhere as far as the feet go. I think that's the legs done. I don't know, he looks like he's... No, he's on the ground, that's okay. So just the arms now. Yeah, and as I said, for the most part, I almost never copy and paste the values for the arms, because that's where twinning is the most obvious. Alright, let's go back to the start. Let's check this out. Okay, so they're the down pose. The next position we want, and I'll just double check I keyed everything there. We'll go in between these guys, and we're going to have the up pose now. So I'm going to set my key. We're going to drag this guy back a bit. Zero this guy out. This leg's going to come forwards. Probably going to start to rotate him. We don't need him up quite so high as far as the foot goes. So let's move this dude over. Yep, we'll have this guy go 1. So that way yep, looking good. So we'll probably put a little bit of rotation into the hips here. So it looks like I haven't got any rotation in this one here, this contact pose. Let's go. Oh yes, we do, sorry. So let's put maybe, where are we going to? Going to 1, so let's go to 0.5 rotation in there. You probably won't notice it, and we could probably let the computer do that later, but we'll whack it in there now. We're here, we might as well. Put some rotation in that as well. Start this guy going. I do believe this guy needs to move back a lot more. Even a bit more than that, and we can take out some of this pop we'll get in that knee by using the heel ball roll, because we don't want too much pop. Okay, looking good. Now we need to do that frame again over here. So let's add it in, select everything, key it, zero this dude out, -1 there. Gonna put some hip rotation in here, so that was -0.5 I believe we want to go to. Alright, so let's go back, where are we, frame 7. And you can see I'm just kind of rounding those numbers off. These numbers here don't match these ones here. Sorry, these ones here. They're close, but they're not, you know, spot on. You don't need it to be, so let's take this, rotate. Okay, so here we have our walk. Now, as I said before, it's going to be 24 frame walk cycle. So I have all of the frames that I'm going to keyed in here. So I'm going to have to space this out. But for now, you can see that's much too quick. So let's get into that. So let's put this guy at 25. Now the reason I'm putting him at 25 is because in order for the computer to go between this frame to the last frame we do, this one here will be on this one here will be down here somewhere. So we need to put a copy of this one on 25 so that it can interpolate between that. Okay, so we're going to take our, where are we? Here we go. So let's move these guys over to 12. There we go. So then we just need to space these guys out evenly. Let's take all these. So really what we're looking for here is each one is going to be on a 3. I think we're doing 3s. We'll see in a second, hey? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So let's take this guy out. So put him to 22. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Put this guy over to 19. So I think this guy should be on 13, not 12. So let's take these two, move them over 1. Take this guy, move him over 1. Alright, it's all on 3s. Now, in order for, this is the last frame that we keyed, which is this up pose here. And from here, the next frame in the cycle will be back to 1. But in order for the computer to interpolate what it needs between the up and the 1, sorry, the up and the passing, so let me try that again, the up and the contact, we need to have the frame over here. So we're not going to see this frame, and we're not going to render this frame when we render this out, but it needs to be there for the computer. So I'm going to take this one here, put that to 24, so you can see 25 is blanked out and we can't go to 25, but it will interpolate when we spline this between these two frames here. So we're going to watch this through, so let's just have a look. And you can see we have a pretty good walk cycle so far. There's some funky stuff happening with his eyes here, but that's okay, we can deal with that with our curves. Let's go to our shot cam, let's watch the walk cycle through. Now you can see with just those four keyframes, or those two keyframes and those two breakdowns, we already have a pretty good walk cycle, even without spline in it. Now the fun comes in when we want to put some attitude and stuff into this guy, is just messing around with just these 4 frames. But we'll get to that in a minute. For now, we're going to spline this. So actually, first off, let's do a play blast. Where are we? Let's and we'll call this guy, what are we calling him? Walk block for you guys, that's what we'll call it. Save that. Play blast. Now we've got this guy on repeat, and you see it loops perfectly because we don't have that 25th frame in there. If we had that 25th frame in there, there would be a bit of a jolt. Alright, so let's spline him. Let's select it all. Let's go Windows, Animation Editor, Graph Editor. Hit F to frame it. Select everything. And let's hit Auto Tangent. And see what that gives us. Okay, let's minimize that guy. And let's watch it through. Now that's not too bad. What we will do is we'll go through and we'll delete a couple of those keyframes that we made, like we've been doing throughout the whole course, just to smooth everything out. Let's go back to shot cam and let's go over here. Alright, so first things first, let's do the feet. So actually this lesson's getting a bit long, so what I'll do is we'll save, wrap it up here, and we'll come back in the next lesson and we will play around with these curves and try and smooth this out a lot better.